What's going down, y'all?
The worst, my peoples come first.
You know the deal.
When worst come the worst. When worst come the worst, my peoples
That's
come
bad,
first.
bad,
When worst come the worst. When worst come the worst, my peoples come first.
Yo, some people got good friends, and I live my life right. Tense.
What's up? Where we at right now, man?
What up, man? Dubcnn, what up?
Chilling, man. We're right here with Alchemist at the crib.
Yeah, this is the hideout right here. This is the laboratory where we get a lot of music done. You know what I'm saying? We bang out the hits, chop up the samples, do the shit that we do. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Okay. So what you doing right now, man?
I mean, you know, right now I'm in the midst of a lot of different projects. You know what I'm saying? We just got off the road, the Mobb, overseas, Japan, Australia. You know, I mean, a motherfucker like me stays real busy, you know what I mean? So basically, we just banging out hits every day. You know, I can run down a list, but I might forget somebody, you know what I'm saying? So, most importantly, you know, I'm working on a new Alchemist album. So, you know, I know a lot of people have been waiting. You know, I've been waiting, you know what I'm saying? So, stay tuned, because I got a lot of things for y'all. So right now, I'm in the midst of finishing up the album, banging out beats for everybody in the game. I'm working with Em and Shady on a project right now for the end of the year. I'm just staying busy doing the things I do, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. The Blood Money album didn't do what it was supposed to do. How's the reception been? And you know what's the feeling in the camp right now?
I mean, you know, we just happy to have another product out in the world and be rocking with the G-Unit and 50. It's a beautiful thing, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when numbers don't add up on the sales side of things, you can't let that stop your hustle. You know what I mean? We're out in the world doing everything that we got to do to keep it popping, doing the remixes, banging out new songs, you know what I'm saying? Because basically, this machine that we got, you know, Mobb Deep, Alchemist, is unstoppable creatively. You know what I mean? If we approach one mountain, we climb that and step to the next one, you know? So basically, we're not stopped. We just still banging out. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, you know, looking at this wall, you know, that's only some of your achievements, you know, and how does it feel, man, to be looking at that shit and you be like, man, that's all shit that I did?
Yeah, it's cool, you know, like, you know, I'm missing a lot of plaques,
yeah,
you know, a lot of artists, you know, people don't understand that, you know, sometimes the artists don't come correct and get you your plaques, but I mean, basically, you know, it's something good for me to look at as a reminder sometimes, you know, like I could be in here, I might think one day that, you know, like, I'm not that dude, but every time I look over to the left and see the achievements, it's like, it just reminds you, it puts you in check any day when you're not confident, like, motherfucker, you did this, you can do it again, and that's why we do it.
Okay, and you know, you're from LA. A lot of people don't know that you're from the West Coast because you've been mashing with the East Coast a lot.
I'm in LA all day, you know what I'm saying? Basically, a lot of people don't know that I started, you know, I grew up in LA, I lived there until I was 17. All my life, you know, I rep LA to death, always. West Coast is in me, you know what I mean? Cypress Hill, Soul Assassins, you know, for those who don't know. If you really want to take it back, you know, I was a dude in the camp. I was in a group called the Hooligans, 1993, if you really want to go back and do the math. I had an album and everything underneath Soul Assassins, you know, West Coast clique. And, you know what I mean? It's just a blessing for me to, like, pop it off on the West, and I felt like my calling was on the East, so I just made that move. I always stayed down with my camp, you know, I always told Muggs, I'm gonna go to New York and start getting it popping, and you know, he co-signed that, you know, that's the big homie, so it's like, I moved out here and I was doing my thing underneath Soul Assassins, and I eventually figured out, you know, it's time for me to blow this name Alchemist up, man. I gotta get this name everywhere, it's gonna be good for everybody, and you know, through my connects with Mobb, and, you know, linking up with them early when I got out here, hooking up with Premier early when I moved out here. It was like a mentor to me. You know, I always looked up to Premier as a producer. When, you know, when we became, it's crazy how that's like one of my best friends. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know how to compare it to somebody. Like if you were a new actor, it would be like you kicking it with Robert De Niro every day. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt when I first came out here. You know, like kicking with Al Pacino or something. That's how I looked at Premier. So, you know, it helped me a lot when I moved out here. Transform, and it's crazy because a lot of people I meet, the music is so powerful, and a lot of people I meet will be like, yo man, yeah, you from Queens, right? Yo, you know, I know you know, they think I grew up in Queensbridge, you know, and that's how powerful this music is. And I put it down on a lot of different levels. But I'm bringing it all full circle. Like I got a new mixtape coming out real soon. I'm sure y'all gonna find out on Dubcnn. It's, you know, it's called No Days Off, and it's heavy with the West Coast.
Yeah, we get into that later on. We still got some questions on that. Yeah.
Yo, check it out. VIP, Infamous Mobb Deep, G-Unit, Gorillas, you heard? Chillin', you know what I'm saying, right now at the Alchemist Laboratory, you know what I mean? 40 Glocc, same Scarfo, you know what I mean? We just here working on some new material, getting it popping, you know what I mean? Keeping this shit locked how we supposed to keep it, you heard? Dubcnn, that's how we do that shit, nigga.
550 bands, drop top figure, the diamonds in. Pounds are cheaper, the black Hummer, the black Ducati. We dropping these bitches out here crazy. Brand new pistols, fresh new rifles to carve you up and shut it down like rankings. We got that shit. We rock that shit.
And you mentioned that you hooked up with Mobb Deep early on in your career.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you meet him the first time?
Well, you know, it was basically kind of fell off of the same tree with Soul Assassins because, God bless the dead, there was a man by the name of Baker B. You know what I mean? He's definitely a legendary in the West Coast rap game. He used to be with Loud Records, and he really popped off anything related to Loud Records in the West Coast. Wu-Tang, Alcoholics, Mobb Deep. And he started working with Muggs and Soul Assassins around the time that I moved to New York. And he was hooking Muggs up with Mobb for the Soul Assassin first album. And so Muggs kind of had a little relationship with them. So when I moved out here, he was like, yo, you got to hook up with them. You know, and that was one of the first people I hooked up with through Infamous Mobb. You know what I mean? Ty Nitty, you know, Twin Gambino, and Godfather. You know, the three cats who make Infamous Mobb, which is Mobb Deep's clique. I started working with them, and they were like, hey, we got to bring you over to Having Pete. This was like right before the making of Murder Music. You know, so I just started coming over to the studio a lot. I was in New York, kind of by myself, you know, so it was like they just noticed there was a young kid out here who was just like hungry, grinding. You know, I used to come to the studio all the time with beats. And, you know, it was gradual. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you something about Mobb Deep. They don't let new people into the circle. There have been a lot of deaths with them, a lot of tragedies, you know what I mean, over their life. And, you know, they keep it tight. So, like, it took a while, you know what I'm saying, for them to understand me and realize, yo, this kid is somebody we gotta utilize, just put him down. And, you know, that's what I am. I'm a team player all day. You put me down with the team, I'm gonna work. You know, so that was how it began. That's how it began. You know, and look what it happened next.
Okay, and you know, you're a white dude in the middle of a lot of black dudes. Did that ever, you know, kind of have an influence on the way your career went, or how did you view that?
I mean, you know, this world is black and white, you know, and, you know, music business is black and white. It's mixed, you know. I mean, even though, like, you know, rap music started more from the black side of things, you know, it did, you know what I mean? But I've always put my music and my accomplishments first, you know. So it was a handful of people who maybe was stuck in that ignorant mind state, and they had to come full circle, and they had to give me my props because the music was speaking for itself. You know what I mean? It was my accomplishments and my music where I was getting my respect. Just like when I was young, you know, my crew in LA, you know, my original crew, the kids I grew up with, I had a bunch of badasses down with me, a bunch of kids who got all the pussy. Some of them was the people used to beat everybody up. Some of them was selling the drugs. Me, I always got my props by being that dude who could write that rhyme or kicking a rhyme or making a beat. Creativity was how I shined, you know what I mean? That was my thing from day one, you know what I mean? So it was just inevitable that I was going to grow and use that to get my props. I always use that, you know what I mean? And it helped me get over a lot of humps because it was all about playing that music. And I remember people used to look at me like, damn, white boy made that shit? Like, damn, you know what I mean? And every now and then I would come across that, you know, so it happens still to this day, you know, and it's ironic that at the end of the day I ended up hooking up with the biggest white artist that ever existed, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Eminem, Shady Records, Paul Rosenberg, you know, my manager, you know, so it's just like a blessing how it came full circle, you know what I mean? And I respect that man a lot, you know, it's mutual respect, so it's dope.
All right. We still live right here, Alchemist. I was just looking at your production equipment,
things.
you know, so.
It's the minimum, you know. I keep it to a minimum. Maybe some people think that go to Alchemist studio and there'd be racks of equipment and all type of shit, man. I always keep it to a minimum. Because to me, it's about the creativity, not getting caught up in the machinery. You don't need much these days to make a beat. You know, a lot of kids, new producers know that because they use the computers. I mean, you can have a laptop and make beats now. You know what I mean? But this is the low-key version, how I get down over here, you know?
Okay.
So those are people, you know what I'm working with. So it ain't the machinery, it's the man behind the machinery. Because anybody can have this setup over here. It's nothing fancy.
And you know, a lot of people say what makes Dr. Dre's beats stand out is the mixing and the mastering. Like he take a rough beat that's just cool and he make it classic.
For sure.
What do you think is that key to it? Like, what's your process for mixing, and what do you think is so important to the final product?
I mean, that's the finishing touch. It's just like in a movie, you know. You can't take a rough edit of a movie and throw it out. You gotta edit it up and put that final touch on it, you know. And that's important, you know, because that's how people are gonna hear it. That's the first impression, you know, it's from that final mix. I mean, everybody has different formulas, you know. Like with me, I got a couple engineers who I work with, you know, and that's like my dudes, and I trust them because I spend so much time making the beat and hooking up the songs and making sure the song comes out hot that I gotta, at some point, I'm a team player, like I said, like, you gotta hand off certain things to people to do. Like with the mix, I trust my dogs, you know what I mean? My engineers are the shit. Just like Dre got his dude, you know, all top producers got their dude, you know, who they can trust, and I can be like, you know, I don't even have to be on top of them the whole time. I can sometimes let them work for hours and come in and just make my adjustments. And that's how we work like a team. So mix down is real important.
And you know, you always been doing your thing, you know, in the last decade, but when you listen to Mobb Deep interviews since they signed a G-Unit, it's like they feel like that kind of brought their career back to life again. Why is that? Because they already had their establishment in the game. Why did they need the G-Unit stamp to come back?
I don't think that they needed it, you know what I'm saying? Because they weren't calling 50, you know what I mean? 50 was calling them. And it was mutual though because of the respect they had for each other. Plus, they all been affiliated through the Violator camp, and I think that it made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Because you got Scarfo and G-Unit who blew up originally with a similar style and sound to Mobb. You know what I mean? They came with that gutter. He came with that gutter in the beginning. Still coming with the gutter, you know what I mean? Nobody could front on G-Unit and 50 Cent, you know what I mean? But I think Mobb saw that and saw how he kind of used a similar style and blew and became more successful commercially than they ever were. That when it came time and he reached out and was like, yo, I always fuck with y'all, and the respect was mutual and it was there, they decided, let's run with this because we've done 6 and 7 albums with our formula and it's great and our fans love it. Let's take it a step further, man. We're still going to be Mobb Deep. Let's just take it a step further and go a little harder with it, how Fifth does it, you know what I mean? And I support them to this day through all of this, you know what I mean? I support them 100%. I was there all the way. I'm not a yes man. If I didn't feel something that was wrong, at a certain time I'd have been like, yo, you know, but I never felt that way. I'm confident 100% all the way.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy that they made that move, and where they're at now is better than they've ever been, regardless of the numbers that's coming out. Because as an artist, you know, we're not Interscope Records. You know what I'm saying? We're Mobb Deep, Alchemist, G-Unit, 50 Cent. At the end of the day, we hand our product over to a company who got to move them units. And everybody knows Interscope is the biggest and best machine in the business. Sometimes the stars don't line up. You know what I mean? So that's just how I think it went down. To me, it was the greatest thing ever. And the fans who were hurt a little bit, and because it became more of like a G-Unit style of album, stay tuned, you know what I mean? Because P Solo's coming, Infamous album coming. There's so many products. The 40 Glocc album, Alchemist new album, Have working on his album, the production. I mean, we ain't stupid, you know. Plus, I'm Mobb Deep's biggest fan, so if you're a fan of Mobb Deep, me and you are probably thinking the same thing. And I'm on it. So you know, we're doing it. This is about to be the same way it was always supposed to be musically. So all the fans out there, just keep your ear tuned in, because you're going to be real happy in a minute.
Yo, what up? It's 40 Glocc, homie. You know what I mean? Lounging. New York, cuz, you know what I'm saying? From the West Coast, representing. Dumb CNN, cuz, you know what I'm saying? Doing my thing, man. You know what I'm saying? My homeboy Alchemist crib. You know what I'm saying? On the patio. Yeah, you see the view, right? Sandwiches. That's Al. I'm good, girl.
Yeah, I have one. Shit, I don't know what. Yeah, give me the same thing.
Yo, you ordering from the store right there? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We ain't making these motherfucking hits, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Get aboard, niggas. Yeah.
You know, we saw you in the studio last night with 40 Glocc and Sam Scarfo.
Yeah.
You know, that's new cats right now.
Yeah.
Who you fucking with right now, man? What's some new cats that you working with? Cause you know we know Mobb Deep is your crew.
Yeah.
But we just stay, you know, in touch with the new cats too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new artists I'm fishing out right now because, you know, I'm a producer at the end of the day, so that's what I do, I produce, you know. So, I got my, you know, I'm working with a couple cats. I got my man, there's a crew out here called Hard White out of Far Rock. They're affiliated with the Mob as well, you know. And I got my man, his name's Pacino, and he's nice. And y'all gonna hear about in a minute. You know, also on this new mixtape I got, he got a joint on there. But I fuck with a lot, man. He's real dope. And I mean, there's a lot of other kids I'm working with, but until it gets to the point where I'm really confident, I don't really like to put weight on it, you know. But yeah, stay tuned because I'm working with a lot of new artists now, because that's the one step I don't think I really took in my career. In the beginning, I was trying to always work with known artists to get my name out there. Now that my name is popping, it's like I'm looking towards blowing up new artists, you know.
Okay.
I look at 40 and Sam like that, even though 40 ain't been ringing for a minute, you know, and he's kind of like a veteran, but he's brand new, you know what I'm saying? It's 40 is a genuine situation, you know what I mean? He's the truth, you know. Those are everybody's gonna see that in a minute too. You know, we're working on 40's project right now, just doing a lot of things, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, new artists, that's what's up. And any other new artists is watching this, get at me. You got that shit, but don't come to me with nonsense because I'm gonna keep it 100 and tell you it was cool. It wasn't really all that. And anybody new in the game, when you got music, you gotta understand that. Like, be ready to accept criticism. And one thing I say for any new artist, if you want to blow up in this game, man, you gotta be able to take that to an even a more extreme level. Like, you gotta be able to go out on the stage in front of a crowd one night and get booed and still hold it down and go home and write something hotter. You can't let nothing crush your spirit. So it's all the new artists, you know, because I'm looking for y'all. Come, you know, holler at me.
Alright, man. Who are, you know, just talking about new artists and shit, but
Yeah.
who's your top 5 to blow from the East and the West, man? Give me
Top
a couple.
5 to blow?
Give me a couple from the East, a couple from the West.
Well, I say, you know, definitely could put some chips on Papoose to do some things, you know what I mean? My man I definitely put him in that category as well. I mean, I say it like this, he ain't a new artist, but I tell you, one of the biggest albums that's gonna be the next couple of years is gonna be Lil Wayne. I'm feeling him right now, you know what I mean? I like how he's grown and developed. He's bigger than he's ever been, so, you know, I definitely think he's gonna pop. You know, on the West, you know, I put my money behind 40 Glocc, you know what I'm saying? My man Evidence from Dilated, who's not a new, but coming with a new album soon. Producers, I mean, you gotta check for my man Seb, you know what I mean? You gotta check for Jake One, you know what I mean? You gotta check for Sid Rome's, you know, out of the West Coast producers who's on the East now. It's a team with my man Joey Chavez and his kid Bravo. Who else got, man? There's a lot of kids with beats, man. My man Info, who's managed by my homeboy Spliffington Management, who got some beats. He did some things for Cameron and Dipset. He's dope. You know, I keep my ear to all the new jacks, you know what I mean? Also, definitely check for Bobby Creek, you know, one of the new artists on Shady. He's stupid with it, you know what I mean? Bobby Creek. Also on the West Coast is a new artist by the name of Cassius, on Shady.
I know.
And he's fire too. You know, I definitely, not just because I'm down with Shady, I definitely think that they're going to do big things. You know what I mean? So, just a couple names to look for, you know, but I'm all about what's new. You know what I mean? Out with the old, in with the new. I don't like old artists who try to hold on to the game and not let new cats in, man. Stop that shit, man. If you've been in the game, let these new motherfuckers in, man. Let the new shine, man. You can't fight it. It's like technology. We can't fight technology. We can't be mad at downloading on the internet. We gotta find ways to work with it. You know, so I support what's new. I'm all about what's new.
Okay. And you know the Eminem situation was pretty big for you. How did that come up? How did that come together?
With the whole M thing, you know, I mean, for those who don't know, I'm M's tour, you know, M's DJ, you know. Basically, the way it came about was a situation that happened with my homeboy Green Lantern, who was previously the DJ, who's still a good friend of mine, you know. Things happen, whatever happened, and I've been affiliated, a lot of people don't know, because I don't put it on my chest all the time, because I'm Alchemist. And I wear Alchemist on my chest, but I've been affiliated with the Shady Camp, the Live Artist Management Company, been managing me for the last 4 or 5 years. My big brother Neil, what up Neil? He works over in the office and manages me with Paul Rosenberg. So I've been down with M for a minute. You know, like a long time ago we did a joint on the Tony Touch album with him and Proof. Rest in peace, Proof. I want to let that be known as well. You know, it was probably one of the first records Proof ever rhymed on, like officially out on the majors. You know, he'd been rhyming for days, but this is one of the big times so he got to get on. And so I've been down with Eminem for a minute, and I think, you know, part of the reason people know me not as the super DJ, you know, but I think one of the reasons is at this point in M's career they wanted to fill in that spot with somebody they could trust, somebody they know, nobody knew, and you know, and that's how I fit in. You know what I mean? I'm down with the camp, you know, and it made sense in more ways than one. So just like that, I got put on, and it's a blessing, man, because my career has been incredible, and I've seen a lot of shit. But once I got on that stage with M and started seeing, you know, 60,000 motherfuckers going berserk, and you know, and I'm rocking with them, and you know, and then we do the song with him and 50, it'd be me, him and 50 on the stage rocking, and that shit just put my mind somewhere else. Like, this shit is bigger than even I ever was. You know what I mean? Okay. So, you know, but I'm Alchemist before I'm M's DJ. You know what I'm saying? So, even though the name Eminem's DJ is probably even bigger than the name Alchemist, I still put Alchemist on my chest and Shady and Eminem on my back. Like, I'm not embarrassed of it. I don't want to ride off of it, and that's how I get my respect. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I do it.
Rifles and carve you up and shut it down like Rikers. We got that shit. We rock that shit.
Yeah, that's it. You wanna do something else?
Yeah.
One more track?
Nah, yeah, I got 8 balls.
Alright. Alright.
Carve you up and shut it down like Rikers. We got that shit. We rock that shit. I run up on you niggas, slaughter all you niggas. We getting all this money. Stop. Back.
What up, Alchemist taking the garbage out.
Throwing away trash, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Alchemist taking the garbage out. Dubcnn, West Coast nigga, Sam Scarfo, East Coast America's most. That's the new slogan I'm running with right now. Shout out to the whole country, baby.
Okay, and you know you working on a new mixtape right now.
Yeah.
Is it album mixtape? What is it?
Basically, the way I do my mixtapes, for those who, you know, the mixtape game is like an ever-changing game. It changes by the weeks. You know what I mean? I mean, you got your top dogs like, you know, Who Kid, K-Slay, Green, and those cats, Clue. You know, you got your name dudes who stay dropping and always been in the game, but over the years, because it's so easy to get exclusives off the internet, you got all these new artists, these new DJs just popping up, dropping mixtapes with exclusives. It's like it's trying to do what everybody else is doing, and it's saturated the game. So the way I do my mixtapes is they're more like albums. You know, I'm not screaming over this shit. I spend a lot of time putting them together. I make sure the quality is right. I mix them. I put records on them that nobody has. That's where I premiere my songs. Then I'll leak them out to all the other DJs. But what I do with my mixtapes, I always have a couple songs nobody heard before. Because that's one thing I got over these exclusive DJs is they got to hunt and get the stuff that's in the internet and the matrix. With me, we make this music, so I could really have a joint that nobody has yet. You know what I'm saying? And when I put it out there, that's the first time the world's going to hear it. And that I love that power. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever abuse it. I treat it the right way. So that's how I do my mixtapes. You know, the first one I dropped years back was called The Cutting Room Floor. The concept of that was like all the old stuff that never made the cut. You know what I mean? I'm working on part 2 right now to The Cutting Room Floor. Then we dropped Insomnia, and that was right before the Alchemist album. And you know, now recently I've dropped the Chemistry Files mixtape, which featured a lot of joints that didn't make the Mobb album, like street joints. and just in between the cracks records that was hot to me, along with a couple exclusive things, a couple joints from me spitting on it, just so people can see where I'm at. And the new tape I'm real hype about, because it's just, it's like, you know, it really solidifies that I'm from the West too, because it's real West Coast heavy, you know what I'm saying? I got Exhibit on there, I got Mitchie Slick on there, you know, I got 40 Glocc on there, Razzcast on there, Cocaine on there, Dog Pound, you know, like, this new tape is West Coast influence. However, it's not all West, so, you know, I didn't want to make the whole concept of it like West Coast mixtape, because I felt like that would be corny. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of P's on there too, there's a lot of New York things on there too. That's what I always do. It's always a good medium, a both for me, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the new mixtape. It's called No Days Off. When you see it, you're going to know, because you're going to see how I flipped the Raiders logo, and that's how you kind of know that it's a West Coast thing, you know. And new mixtape is hard. Dubcnn, y'all going to get a little preview of it, so, you know what I mean? Go into the area on this site where you can hear the music, and I'm sure there's something about the new Alchemist mixtape, No Days Off.
Okay, and you had a DPG record that didn't make their album.
Yeah.
What was the situation there?
It was just a sample clearance issue, you know what I mean? Those are good friends of mine, Snoop, Daz Corrupt, Ted Chung, who handles their business. Those are all, you know, friends of mine. And, you know, they came out to New York one time and we just banged 2 songs out right here. We banged those songs out and we did 2 songs in a day. I kept one from my new album. They took one, which is the one that most people know, On the Rise. And they had a problem clearing the sample or something. It was for one reason or another. It didn't, the timing for getting the sample cleared, so it didn't make the cut. But it did leak out. People got a chance to hear it, and I put it on my new mixtape. So whoever didn't get a copy of it, you know, get that new Alchemist mixtape, No Days Off. If you want that new Dog Pound joint, you know what I mean? I wanted it to be on that album. I wanted to rep, but for one reason or another, it didn't happen. It wasn't because it wasn't hot though, and everybody knows that, you know, because they perform it on stage and everything. So it's definitely a joint people know, and you know, that's that.
Okay.
Yo, what up? It's Big Bad 4-0, nigga. You know what time it is, cuz. Infamous. G-Unit, swallow back, bitch. Dubcnn.com. Log on, motherfucker.
Alright, and you know the East Coast and the West Coast are kind of in a slump right now, because, you know, the Dirty is doing all the record sales and everything.
Yeah.
What do you think the East and the West need to do to get back on top?
I don't even think it's a battle. You know what I mean? I think, if you really ask my opinion, I think that whole, you know, East is not popping, West ain't, the South is. To me, that's a publicity stunt and a ploy for the powers that be who don't like rap music. So rap music could have a civil war, and everybody could fight, and the regions could beef with each other and argue over who's hot. Yo, straight up and down, man, if you do rap music on any sort of rap music, if it could be considered hip-hop, I'll fuck with you. You know what I mean? That's straight up. You'll never catch me hating on any style of music. Yeah, there's some stuff out there I don't like, one coast or one region, or not like a certain artist or whatever, but you won't catch me talking shit about none of them, man, because I'm a fan of rap music, period. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's most important to me.
Alright, you know, throughout the last year, the internet has become, you know, a real important medium for artists, especially independent artists, to promote themselves. You know, what's your view on that? How do you view the internet?
I mean, it's incredible. We're right in the midst of like a huge transition in this business. You know, you may not notice it till 30, 40 years from now, and you look back, not just this year or this month, this whole 5 to 10 year chunk is going to be a huge turning point in this business. You know, since the internet has become so accessible, downloading, and places like MySpace and stuff like that, where it's opening doors for artists to be heard worldwide. You know what I mean? And one thing is, I think this industry, they underestimate quality music all the time. They always act like it's this big business machine and you gotta be market promoted and press, and that's how you blow. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? If you're dope and people like your music, that's really what created this business in the first place. So it's coming back to that now, man, because there's talent all over the world, and because of the industry, it's all about who you know than how dope you are. It's true because of the industry, but the future is not going to be about who you know, because with this internet, everybody knows everybody now. You know what I mean? I'm reaching out to people all across the globe, reaching out to me, and it's just incredible what's going on with this internet thing. Anybody who wants to fight it, you're a fucking fool. Like, yo, figure out how to use it to your advantage. Don't be sour. You know what I mean? Like, technology is not something you can fight. You have to learn how to use it to your advantage. And that's what I'm in the midst of doing right now, and anybody else who is. Like my man even told me, I know I got friends who are straight hood from the block, like, you know what I mean, off the street, and they're like, yo, internet's the new block. That's my new strip. Like, they're getting money like they get money on the street, on the internet, not illegally, legally, doing whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a new avenue for the world, and it's incredible what's going on. I'm impressed. You know, I'm right on the edge. I'm trying to link up with all the young kids who have more knowledge of the internet and how to use computers than me. Because when we were young, that was the very beginning. Like, I remember in 6th, 7th, 5th grade or whatever, when I was little, you know, in the 80s, we used to have these huge computers. We had computer class. The computer was like as big as me. You know what I mean? And it was like the screen was only green and black. It was like, we come a long way. You know, nowadays I see the schools, kids got laptops in the schools. You know what I mean? That's what's up. I support it all the way, man.
Right, man. You've come a long way. Well, what's the hardest obstacle you've had to overcome in your career?
Man, I mean, I'd say, you know, my hardest obstacle hasn't even been approached yet. You know, just like I always say, my best beat ain't been made yet, and my best achievements haven't been made yet. I like to think, because every day is another obstacle, you know, and I couldn't really put one on top of the other. This whole business is an obstacle, you know, but I think the hardest things are in the future, because when you think about it, when you get better and better at something, like taking a step further and further, it becomes harder. Everything becomes harder every time. If you want to always get better at something, then you always got to top yourself, and you're just continuing rising the level of what you do. So it's constantly going to be a new obstacle if you intend to grow. Because in my career, I like to go like this, not fast and not level off or drop. I want to just steadily climb until the day I die, you know what I mean? And then that way, all the music that I created will be here. And I'll live forever. I'll live forever, you know what I mean? Because my music will be here in 100 years. Because of what I'm doing right now. In 100 years, there may not be vinyl stores. There may be, CD may be gone in 100 years, and they might have old CD stores, like they got old record shops right now. And some kid in 100 years from now might be going through the CDs and dust off an old Alchemist CD and throw that shit in. And it's banging. 100 years from now, I'm alive again, coming out the speakers. You know what I'm saying? So that's really why I do it. You know?
Okay. And to end this off, I'm gonna give you a couple names. You just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right, Scott Storch.
Crazy.
Lil Jon.
Retarded.
Battle Cap.
Incredible.
Fred Wreck.
The funkiest Arab man on the planet.
DJ Premier.
My mentor. The
Okay.
greatest ever did it.
So I see that, you know, you ain't got nothing negative to say about nobody, which is pretty rare these days. You give them props.
Never, man. I don't preach negativity because it comes right back around, bites you in the ass, man. I don't put negative in the world. You know, I believe that you put positive out, positive comes back on any way. And I practice that every day in my life, because living in New York, you could be negative in a lot of ways, man. You know, just driving down the street, you got to be aggressive out here. New York could make you negative, you know what I mean? So I fight that power every day. Like, I even as far as, like, letting somebody cross in front of me when they don't need to. Like, go ahead, you know what I'm saying? Anything, like, doing positive comes full circle. So anytime I get a chance to speak good on something, I do. You ain't going to hear me preaching negative, you know what I mean? Straight up.
Okay.